Today, under part 5 of ecology, I am taking up ecosystems. I will be dealing with productivity, decomposition, energy flow, and ecological pyramids. Then, coming to the ecosystem, ecosystem is the functional unit of nature where living organisms interact with not only among themselves but also react with physical environment. Ecosystems are mainly two types: terrestrial ecosystems or aquatic ecosystems. Terrestrial ecosystems include forest or a tropical forest, a desert, a grassland, etc. Aquatic ecosystems include a river, a lake, a pond, oceans, reservoirs, like that. Then if you take any ecosystem, whether terrestrial or aquatic, it has a structure and also a function. Structure means the composition. Already you know that ecosystems consist of biotic factors and abiotic factors. Biotic factors means living beings. Abiotic factors means non-living things. The biotic factors are again divided into three types: producers, consumers, and decomposers. Producers synthesize food by using the solar energy or the chemical energy. Consumers consume the producers. And these consumers are again primary consumers, secondary consumers, tertiary consumers, like that. Decomposers. They decompose the dead animal and plant body parts. Decomposition is also one of the important part in the ecosystem. Abiotic factors already have studied: light, heat, temperature, etc. Coming to the function of the ecosystem, the functions of the ecosystem are productivity, that means synthesis of food; decomposition, the dead body parts of the living beings are decomposed by decomposers. Then the energy flows through the entire ecosystem. How it flows, we will study later on. The nutrient cycles. Nutrients are various types: nitrogen, phosphorus, calcium, like that. These nutrients are recycled. Then, first let us take up the productivity of ecosystem. A constant energy input is required to sustain ecosystem, any ecosystem. So, a constant energy supply is required, and mostly it comes from the sun. Almost all the green plants living on the earth obtain their energy from the sun. Only few microorganisms living in the deep oceans at hydrothermal vents obtain chemical energy. They are sulfur bacteria or iron bacteria. Except for the sulfur and iron bacteria, all the producers obtain their energy only from the sun. Then you have to learn some terms associated with the productivity. Primary production, it is the amount of biomass or organic matter produced per unit area through photosynthesis over a period of time by plants. So, primary production is the amount of the biomass or organic matter produced by the green plants through photosynthesis in a particular area. It is measured in terms of weight, gram power of -2, or energy, kilocalories power of -2. Then productivity, that is the amount of biomass produced. The rate of biomass produced is measured in grams to the power of -2 per year or kilocalories per meters power of -2 per year. In this way, the amount of biomass produced in a particular area is measured. Then gross primary productivity. It is the rate of production of organic matter through photosynthesis. So plants use solar energy, and through photosynthesis they first synthesize glucose, and this is called photosynthetic first byproduct. Then this glucose is converted into various types of proteins, carbohydrates, fats, and other products. Then here we have to remember one point. The organic matter produced through photosynthesis is also consumed by the plants. Much of the energy stored in the plants is lost in the form of respiration. So, plants lose energy mainly through the process of respiration. This respiratory loss is known as R. So, the respiratory loss is represented by the letter capital R. Then, what is the net primary production? Gross primary production means the total amount of food synthesized by the green plants, or the total amount of the biomass synthesized by the plants. If you deduct the amount of energy lost through respiration, then we obtain net primary production. So, gross primary production minus respiratory loss is net primary production. And this net primary production is available to the organisms present in the next trophic level, that is consumers or herbivores. So GPP minus R is equal to NPP. Then secondary productivity. It is the rate of formation of new organic matter in the consumers. So the primary consumers, what they do? They eat the plants or the biomass present in the plants and convert that biomass into biomass of the animals. This is known as secondary productivity. So in the case of secondary productivity, the biomass is converted into new organic matter in the consumers. Then, how much net primary production is there in the entire biosphere? Scientists have estimated roughly there is 170 billion tons of biomass in the entire universe, or the annual net primary production of the entire universe per year is 170 billion tons, and this is always taken in the form of dry weight. Wet weight cannot give us accurate results because the amount of water varies from tissue to tissue and also from species to species. So scientists consider only the dry weight. Then the oceans. We know that the oceans occupy 70% of the surface area on Earth, but their productivity is only 55 billion tons in dry weight. So the productivity is more on the land than in the water. Then, second part, decomposition. What is decomposition? The dead organic matter of plants and animals and also the animal excreta undergoes regular decay or degraded, and this process is called decomposition. Otherwise, the ecosystem cannot remain sustainable. So, the dead organic matter has to be recycled through decomposition, and the nutrients are made available to the plants again and again. So decomposition means dead organic matter of plants, animals, and animal excreta undergoes decomposition by detrivores. Detrivores are the organisms that decompose the dead organic matter. These decomposers are mainly fungus, bacteria, earthworms, etc. And the decomposition process involves a number of steps. These steps include leaching, catabolism, humidification, and mineralization. Leaching. Leaching means some of the nutrients present in the dead organic matter dissolve in water and percolate into the soil, and they are not made available to the plants. These are lost forever to the ecosystem, and this process is known as leaching. So through leaching, the nature loses water soluble nutrients forever. Then catabolism. The decomposers obtain energy by decomposing the dead organic matter, and this energy runs the biological processes of the decomposers. Then this degradation not only results in the release of energy for the decomposers, but it also helps in breakdown of the dead organic substances with the help of the enzymes into simple substances. So, through catabolism, the decomposers break down the dead organic matter into simple inorganic substances. Then, the simple inorganic substances are converted into humus. This is called humification. Conversion of simple inorganic substances in the soil into humus is known as humification. Accumulation of dark amorphous matter is called humus. Humus is a dark amorphous matter, and it is highly resistant to microbial action. So microbes cannot decompose this very easily. Then there are some type of bacteria or microorganisms known as mineralizers. The mineralizers, what they do is they decompose the humus further and release the minerals into the soil. So in this way, the mineralizers separate minerals from the humus and release them into the soil. And these minerals are made available for the plants to use again. In this way, the minerals locked up in the dead organic matter are freed and made available to the plants again. Then, detritus, if it is rich in lignins and chitin, you know what are lignins and chitin? If the detritus is rich in lignins and chitin, it undergoes decomposition very slowly because these two substances, lignins and chitin, are resistant to degradation. But if the detritus is rich in nitrogen and water-soluble substances, it undergoes rapid decomposition. Then, for decomposition, warm and moist environment is required. If the environment is moist and warm, the rate of decomposition is fast. On the contrary, if the temperature is low and the moisture is absent or the conditions are dry, the rate of decomposition will be slow. So, warm and moist environment favors, and low temperature and dryness slows down the decomposition. Then coming to the energy flow. Coming to the energy flow, as I have told you, all the green plants obtain their energy from the sun or obtain energy from the radiant energy of the sun. Only few microorganisms living in the hydrothermal vents receive energy through chemical reactions. But all the green plants inhabiting the land obtain only solar energy, and solar energy alone runs the entire ecosystems. This energy passes through all the traffic levels. There are various traffic levels. Producers, primary consumers, secondary consumers, tertiary consumers, decomposers, like that. So the same solar energy runs through all these trophic levels. Then, how much solar energy is useful to the plants? Only 50% of the solar radiation is photosynthetically active radiation. It means the amount of solar radiation falling upon the earth, out of it only 50% is photosynthetically active, or only 50% helps in the process of photosynthesis. This is known as the PAR. Photosynthetically active energy, active radiation is known as the PAR. That means out of the solar energy reaching the surface of the earth, only 50% is useful for photosynthesis, and this is known as PAR, or photosynthetically active radiation. And how much of this PAR is captured by the plants? Only 2 to 3%. So, very small amount of solar radiation, which is photosynthetically active, is used by the plants in photosynthesis. And this energy runs all the ecosystems present on the earth. And only green plants are autotrophic. Only green plants can synthesize food through photosynthesis. Then, coming to animals, no animal can synthesize its own food. All the animals depend on plants for their food needs. So, all animals are only consumers, and all green plants are producers. Then, the main producers are again two types. On the land, they are green plants. In water, they are phytoplankton and algae. So on land, green plants are the producers, and in water, phytoplankton and algae are the producers. Then, the energy flow through the ecosystem also follows the laws of thermodynamics, the first two laws of thermodynamics. The first law of thermodynamics states that energy can neither be created nor destroyed, and its flow is unidirectional. So in the ecosystems, the energy runs from one trophic level to another trophic level, but it can neither be created nor destroyed. Whatever energy captured or trapped by the green plants through photosynthesis runs through the entire ecosystem. It cannot be generated afresh. It always comes from the sun. Then it runs unidirectionally. Energy, after running through the entire ecosystem, is lost to the nature. It is not recovered. So, energy flow in the ecosystem is unidirectional. It enters the ecosystem through producers and it escapes at every trophic level into the environment. Second law, no process involving energy transformation will spontaneously occur unless there is a degradation to the energy or entropy. That means energy can neither be created nor destroyed, but energy can be transformed from one form to the another form. If you take atomic energy, it can be converted into electrical energy. Electrical energy can be converted into heat energy or light energy. Like this, energy can be transformed from one form to another form. But at every level of transformation, some energy is lost. Unless this loss occurs, energy transformation cannot occur. This loss of energy is called entropy. This is the second law of thermodynamics. In ecosystems also, at every level, of transfer of energy, some energy is lost. So, the first two laws of thermodynamics apply to the ecosystems. Then, coming to the trophic levels. Trophic levels are generally four. The first trophic level is occupied by producers, that is, green plants and phytoplankton. They synthesize food by using solar energy. Then, second trophic level, it is occupied by herbivores. Herbivores are the ones that are depending on plants for their sustenance. These herbivores are known as primary consumers. In water, zooplankton constitutes the primary consumers. On the land, there are so many rabbits, cows, grasshoppers, like that. All the herbivores occupy the second trophic level. Then, the third trophic level is occupied by primary carnivores, that is, meat eaters. These primary carnivores are also known as secondary consumers. So, herbivores are the primary consumers, primary carnivores are the secondary consumers. Example, birds, fish, wolf, etc. Birds feed on grasshopper. Fish also feeds on zooplankton. Wolf eats cows and other animals. Like that, these are the secondary consumers or primary carnivores. Then the fourth trophic level is occupied by secondary carnivores or tertiary consumers. Here, lion eats wolf. Man eats fish or birds. So, there are four trophic levels. First trophic level is occupied by the producers. Second trophic level is occupied by the herbivores. Third trophic level is occupied by the primary consumers, primary carnivores. And the fourth trophic level is occupied by the secondary carnivores. So, don't get confused. Herbivores means primary consumers. Primary carnivores are also known as secondary consumers. Secondary carnivores are also known as tertiary consumers. Remember these very carefully and also the examples. Then, food chains are two types: grazing food chain and detritus food chain. Grazing food chain is known as GFC. Detritus food chain is known as DFC. So, grazing food chain starts with the grass or with a plant. Detritus food chain begins with detritus. And these two chains, food chains, are not separate, entirely separate. They are interconnected at different levels. And no separate food chain can exist on its own. A number of food chains are interlinked, forming a web, a food web. Then, in the aquatic medium, grazing food chain and on the land, detritus food chain are major conduits of energy flow. So, much of the energy flows through the grazing food chain in the aquatic medium. Whereas on the land, much of the energy flows through detritus food chain. Remember these two very carefully. In water, much of the energy flows through grazing food chain, and on the land, much of the energy passes through detritus food chain. That means, on the land, much of the energy is present in the detritus than on the consumers and producers. Then, some animals link both grazing food chain and detritus food chain. These are earthworms. Earthworms come under both grazing food chain and detritus food chain. And similarly, fungus. Like that, there are so many organisms that become a part of both grazing food chain and detritus food chain. Then some organisms are both herbivores and carnivores. Such organisms are known as omnivores. So if any animal consumes both plant material and animal material as their food, they are called as omnivores. For example, human beings are omnivores. Similarly, cockroaches are omnivores, birds are omnivores. Like that, there are a number of species that are omnivores in nature. Then, standing crab. The living material or biomass present at a particular trophic level is known as standing crab. So, the amount of biomass present at a particular trophic level, it includes all the living organisms at that trophic level. It constitutes the standing crab and it is always measured in dry weight, in the form of dry weight. So the entire organic matter present at a particular trophic level constitutes the standing crab and it is always measured in the form of dry weight. Then there is one very important rule known as the 10% law. This is very important. How much energy is transferred from one trophic level to the next trophic level? This law says that only 10% of the energy present at a particular trophic level is transferred to the next trophic level. That means enormous amount of energy is lost at every level in the ecosystem. You see here, this is the sun, this is the producer. Lot of energy is lost in the form of heat, and by using the solar energy, producers synthesize food through photosynthesis. Let us say, at a particular ecosystem, the amount of energy or the amount of biomass contains 10,000 joules of energy. So the amount of energy present in the producers is, let us say, 10,000 joules. Producers are the first trophic level. Then what happens? The plants, the producers, they respire. So energy is lost in respiration. Through other processes also energy is lost. And out of this 10,000 joules, only 1,000 joules of energy passes to the herbivores. That is the next trophic level, the second trophic level. So from the first trophic level, only 10% of this energy is transferred to the next trophic level. Then, this is the third trophic level. The herbivores also respire. The body also loses heat. They also lose heat or energy in various forms. And out of these 1,000 joules, only 100 joules is passed to the next level. That is third trophic level. Here also, the animals lose heat through respiration and also through their body surface. And out of these 100 joules, only 10 joules are passed to the last trophic level, that is the fourth trophic level, tertiary consumers. In this way, at every level, enormous amount of energy is lost. And only 10% of the energy present in a particular trophic level is transferred to the next trophic level. In this fashion, energy is lost continuously throughout the food chain. And this lost energy cannot be recovered. It is lost to the nature forever. That is about 10% law. Then, ecological pyramids. John Elton, he proposed ecological pyramids to measure or to represent numbers, biomass and energy present in a particular ecosystem. Here, the producers form the bottom line or bottom box Primary consumers form the second level, secondary consumers form the third level, and tertiary consumers form the fourth level. At each level is represented in the form of a box. So this is the pyramid of numbers. Pyramid of numbers is usually upright. Producers are more than the primary consumers. Primary consumers are more than the secondary consumers. Secondary consumers are more than the tertiary consumers. That's why we get an upright pyramid. One example is given in your book. Primary producers are 58,42,000 in one ecosystem. Then the primary consumers are only 7,08,000. Secondary consumers are 3,54,000. And tertiary consumers are only 3. In this way, as we move from one traffic level to the higher traffic level, the numbers decrease gradually. But this pyramid of numbers is inverted in some cases, like parasites. You take a tree, only one tree. There are hundreds of birds, and on each bird there are thousands of bird parasites or lice. So if you plant the parasitic number of pyramids, it appears inverted. Tree is only one, birds are hundreds, parasites are thousands. So in this way, sometimes the pyramid of numbers is inverted. Then coming to the biomass. You know the amount of biomass. What is biomass? Biomass is the amount of organic matter present in all the organisms of a particular trophic level. So the biomass also represents an upright pyramid. If you take one example is given in your book. In the producers, the amount of biomass is 809 grams or whatever you consider, or tons. In the next level, it is only 37. In the subsequent level, only 11. And the last level, tertiary consumers, it is only 1.5. So in this way, the biomass gradually decreases from the producers to the final consumers. But sometimes even this biomass, pyramid of biomass is also inverted. If you take the aquatic medium, I have told you phytoplankton is the main producers of aquatic ecosystem. So phytoplankton trap the solar energy and synthesize the food. And this phytoplankton is consumed by zooplankton. Zooplankton means animal protozoans, animal larvae, etc. The phytoplankton multiply very rapidly, but they are consumed in large numbers by zooplankton. So at any given time, the biomass of phytoplankton is much less than that of zooplankton. This is because phytoplankton is constantly consumed by zooplankton. In this way, in aquatic ecosystem, the pyramid of biomass is inverted. Then, pyramid of energy. In your book, an example is given. In the producers, the energy is 10,000 joules. In the primary consumers, only 1,000 joules of energy is present. In the secondary consumers, only 100 joules of energy is present. In the tertiary consumers, only 10 joules is present. In this way, there is gradual and constant reduction in the amount of energy available at different trophic levels. I have told you already about 10% law. So, out of 10,000, 1% means 1,000. 10% of 1,000 is 100. 10% of 100 is 10. Like this, at every trophic level, large amounts of energy is dissipated or lost to the nature. And the direction of energy is always unidirectional. So energy flow is always unidirectional. It flows like this, never comes back. And at the end of the its passage, the energy escapes into the nature. So that is about ecosystem or functions of the ecosystem, dealing with productivity, decomposition, energy flow, and ecological benefits. Coming to the nutrients, you know that nutrients are released into the soil by the decomposers, and these nutrients are made available to plants to reuse in photosynthesis. Thank you. That is about the ecological part 5.